Josh and Brandy, tell us how you first met.
Josh and I met at Mammoth Cave National Park. We both worked there. It was the summer of 2008. 2008.
Oh, wait.
And they have a place called Seasonals where all the employees that are coming from out of state to work for the season live. And so there's fires there, and we all got together and would play volleyball or music and
Campfire.
Campfire.
It's just like one of those
cookout
nights. Yeah, everybody's getting together.
Yeah,
and
with your fellow workers. And so that's where we met, and he
That-
had his guitar.
That was my second season there.
Yeah. That was
I'd
my
started the year before, but
that was my 4th season.
you were not there the year before.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't meet. Like my
That was
first
my
year
4th
at Mammoth.
season with the Park Service. Yeah,
Yeah.
his first year I was at Yellowstone. I was working at Yellowstone.
And then you came back.
And then I came back, and that's when we met.
Yeah.
I forgot about
Around the
that.
campfire.
Because I started working there in 04, and then 07 I went to Yellowstone and worked for the season, and then I came back and worked Mammoth Cave in 08. Yep. Josh
Yeah.
had his guitar and was playing music
With other folks.
with other people.
There's a lot of folks out there, and
Somebody mentioned that I sing, and so he was like, well, sing one. I was like, good. And so we figured out that we both knew In Spite of Ourselves.
good old John Prine.
An old John Prine song, and that's what we sang, and that's kind of when we first met and started hanging out. The funny thing is, though, that our families have known each other for literally, like, his mom was 9 months pregnant with him at my parents' wedding, and his
And my
dad sang
at
Annie's
the
song
wedding.
at the wedding. But we didn't know, we had never met each other because he ended up going to Bowling Green, living there with his mom, and going to Greenwood, and I was here and went to Barron County. So, but yeah, once we did
Our
start
families
hanging
grew
out,
up
our
together.
families grew up together. So, of course, my mom was like, well, I made his Smurf birthday cake.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but we didn't actually meet and start hanging out until 2000.
But as soon as we, like, after that night, I mean, it was pretty, pretty soon after that, like, we were hanging out, and, like, we always just played music,
Yeah.
I mean, the next time we hung out was over across the road from your grandparents, and I brought my guitar, and we played music,
Yeah.
and
I rented a place for my grandparents, and I had a record player, and we listened to records and played music, and then he started burning me CDs with songs he thought I should learn on them.
not that, I just, like, good songs. They were like,
Yeah, no, they were
it's
good
like
songs.
a mixtape.
Yeah, it was like a
I made I
mixtape.
made
Aw.
a mixtape CD.
You did.
And, yeah,
Eventually, we started dating.
Eventually.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
so-
It's funny to remember, like, how fast that we hung out, and then I got mixtapes, and then, like, mixed CDs, and then, what was I gonna
But it
say?
was like we didn't
There's
like
something I was
start
gonna
any
say.
kind of Jenny Rhodes
No,
thing.
no, it was
like,
just because it was fun.
Yeah, we were just
like
hanging
we were
out.
just hanging
we were playing
out,
music.
and he needed to get away from where he was living at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and like, so I left and moved away for a little bit, and I came back, within a year or so.
and actually went and worked at Yellowstone that fall, and he went to work at a place in Colorado, so we actually drove out together, and
Yeah.
I went to.
So this was in August. We met in August,
Yeah.
and at the end of September or early October, like, we were on a road trip to Colorado, and I stayed in Colorado, and she kept going to Yellowstone, and then the next spring,
Took
like,
a
we were back
Greyhound to
in
Yellowstone.
we were back in Park City together, and then
Just
May-
started hanging out again, and
May I started renting from your aunt here, like right here. So
Yeah,
within a
this
year
house.
of us meeting, I was living here.
Yep.
Yeah. And within 2 years of us meeting, you had bought this place. And then we've been living here, like, together
Ever
the whole
since.
time.
So it felt like home.
Yeah.
Immediately. For
Yep.
sure.
So how did the Jenny Rhodes come to be?
The Jenny Rhodes came together. I had been playing music with, other friends for a couple of years, and we would occasionally have gigs, and of course Brandy and I, since we met, like, we played music, and so she would come up and sing, a song or two with us at our gigs, and then just the more time that we were together here, the more time we had to play music.
We'd
and,
learn a
like,
few
learn
songs.
and then it was just kind of the natural thing for us to,
So he's scheduled for us to play
get
somewhere.
a gig.
Yeah,
Gigging.
to get a gig.
We were gigging.
We were gigging.
We started gigging.
He's
But I
scheduled
don't remember the
for
first place
us
we
to.
ever
I
played.
can't remember either.
Maybe George J's.
Maybe.
Probably something
But it was
in
like, we
Glasgow.
need a name. Like, what do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
He was like, they need a name to advertise.
That's right.
So
There's
we
a
just-
marquee outside,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
don't know what
like,
to
who
put on
are
it.
you? What should we advertise?
So we just said the
And,
Jenny Rhodes.
And that's,
That's where we live.
you passed it on the way in, It's
Yeah.
our road,
It's home.
for sure.
Yep.
So where did you decide? Because Brandy, I don't think that was really what you ultimately longed for, was to play out. How did Josh change your mind?
Josh is very persuading. No, I actually, I just like to sing. Like, I grew up, I started singing because I grew up in a Baptist church, and I sang with my sisters around the house all the time. We grew up on a tobacco farm, and I have twin sisters that are older than me, and so we would sing whatever around the house, and stripping tobacco we would sing, and I just loved to sing. And so I didn't like ever perform for people. I did a solo when I was 6 at church and looked at my feet the whole time. But he has this way of convincing people that they should do something. Like, we should do this. It would be so much fun. You can just pretend like we're in our living room. Like, we could actually, go and do shows and make tips. And
People are going to pay us to,
people-
like, do what
yeah.
we're already kind of doing
people
here.
would pay us to do this and enjoy it. And so the more comfortable I got singing with Josh at the house, the more comfortable I got singing with him on stage.
It took
And
a
it
little
was a
while.
matter. Yeah, it was, and it's been, over the years to actually gain enough confidence to be on a stage in front of people. That's not me. I'm not a person that likes to be in the spotlight. I don't like cameras on me. I don't like pictures being taken. Like, I'm just weird like that.
But from us, like, meeting at Mammoth Cave and singing there to start with, and then coming here, like, we have had an opportunity to do a lot of fun things because of us playing music.
Yeah. And meeting a lot. Like, I've got to meet a lot of really cool people by playing music.
Yeah.
I think one of the fun, like, he has friends that he played with in college, so they would come down to our house and we'd have a big fire, and then we had all these musicians around the fire.
Just hanging out.
Telling
Right here.
stories, playing music, and, through that we met people from England and Ireland because he had a friend that moved to Nashville to play music, and when he came up, he would bring his buddies in that were in from Ireland recording, and one of them's mom recorded with Johnny Cash, and like they want us to go over there, and he's like, people would love you in Ireland, you need to come play over here. Just stuff that would have never happened had
We got
we
to
not-
open for Rhonda Vincent
Yeah.
and the Rage, in Cave City. They played at the Cave City Convention Center.
Yeah.
And so we got to open for the Queen of Bluegrass.
bluegrass, yeah. Which is still, it's just weird to think, like, because, I don't know, Josh may think differently, but I'm not the type that has ever done this thinking I'm going to be famous someday. Like, I just want to be famous. But it's like things just fall into our laps where it's like, oh, cool, we get to meet Rhonda Vincent and sing before she does.
Yeah.
Or, like we get to hang out with Willie and his mom, and she's recorded with Johnny Cash. And I don't know, it's just fun to do those things. Like, it's more fun for me now And when it's fun, I don't get uncomfortable because that's what it's supposed to be, like hanging out here around the fire playing music. It's fun.
Always.
It's exactly as it should be.
Yeah.
So when did you write your first song together?
Josh writes the songs.
We have tried, I mean, we've tried writing songs,
Yeah.
and I've tried writing songs with other people, and I just haven't had any success writing songs with other musicians. And I don't know, you know, some people are able to do that, and just hadn't really worked out that way. Usually when I'm, you know, a lot of times here by myself, and it just seems like that's when I'm able to get in the right headspace, you know, and state of mind to really to come up with, you know, whatever it might be. But I still think that we can write songs together, you know. We just really haven't tried. We are, in a lot of respects, you know, just kind of having fun and shooting from the hip. We're not really trying real hard, you know. Like if we wanted to, like Brandy has notebooks full of poetry and, you know, things that you've written over the years. And if we ever actually really wanted to dig into any of that, I know there's songs in there if we wanted to do that, but we just haven't. And
Have you ever surprised her with any lyrics or poetry that she has started and you've been like inspired to make that something for her?
No, he's surprised me with songs, but he's not surprised me with anything that I've written. And I say that we haven't written songs together. He's written songs and then he'll sing them for me, and I'll say, well, what if you repeat that twice, you know, after, or you
That's a good
know,
point.
let's do another, you should probably do another verse and then the chorus, or, you know, like I give my input on it, but we
Yeah.
haven't actually like sat down together and written
that
a
is
song.
true. Yeah.
That's a
And there's-
co-write
That
though.
You know, and then
Yeah, I
sometimes
think
he's like, I
if we're in
like that.
Nashville,
Like,
I'd
that's
call that a
co-write.
co-write.
yeah.
That's a
I
co-write.
co-write songs with him. And sometimes he's like, I really like that. Yeah, that's what we should do. And then there's one that I've been pushing and he just won't do it. So maybe someday at the end of Mockingbird.
Oh yeah.
I want him to go out all dramatic like, and he's not for it.
I think we have a lot of songs in us together that we just really haven't tapped into.
And a
just
lot
haven't
of
done
that, like, I feel like we just haven't sat down and taken the time. But also, you know, it's that insecurity that I have that, you know, I don't play music, so I don't know if this would go to music, or I don't even know how this should, like, should this be fast or should this be slow? And we have a friend that's a musician, and his wife is a songwriter, and so I've talked about, you know, hanging out with her and getting some pointers from her as far as, you know, what's the difference in writing poetry and writing a song. So maybe that's in our future.
I think so.
That should be a
Big
goal.
things coming. Big things
It
coming.
should be a goal. Yeah, definitely.
We have to start with one. You know,
That's all it takes.
Yeah,
One
just-
song.
get the ball rolling.
So you created the Jenny Rhodes. You've also created an amazing family. Tell us about your children.
So we have 2 kids. We had Hickory in 2014, 15,
He's 5.
14.
He's 5.
I always mix up his birth date because it's the 15th and he was born in 2014, and I'll say he was born
I don't
on the
get
14th.
his birthday mixed up. I remember when he was born.
He never does, but I do.
And Xenia, she's 2.
She's 2. She was born in 2018 on March 28th.
Yeah.
So we have a Aries and a Virgo.
Yeah, and they keep us on our toes, to say the
They do.
least. We are really fortunate that we can spend a lot of time with them. Brandy teaches at Hickory School, And when she works at his school, I'm here with Xenia, and so I work at Mammoth Cave National Park, and you know, I'm able to work out a schedule that I can be out there, and Brandy's here with the kids, you know, so we're really just like truly fortunate and blessed that we're with our kids. We don't send them to a babysitter, you know, or anything like that on a regular basis. Our family, you know, they are coming through today, and they come through
quite often.
Yeah, other
if we,
times.
you know, we play a show or whatever, then we've got, it's one of the.
We have an awesome support system, and our kids
It's a
are
beautiful
super lucky
thing to live close to your family
have that.
and, you know, be close with your family, and your kids get to be with them
Their
on both sides.
Their grandparents and their great-grandparents are within 15 miles.
Yeah.
You know?
Amazing.
So, and aunts and uncles and everything else. And
I feel like that was, you know, part of our plan. Like when we met and hung out, it wasn't just the music. Like the lifestyle we wanted was the same. We wanted the same type of lifestyle. Josh's natural resource management, that's his degree, and mine's in social responsibility. And so we knew that we wanted to live simply. We knew that we wanted to have our place and our home, and that was going to be, you know, important to us where that was, which was close to our family. He's close to his family, and I'm close to my family. And we knew that if we had children eventually, that we wanted to be the ones that were with them the majority of the time, and that they could, you know, go in 15 minutes be at their grandparents' house, because that was all things that was very important. Or I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I feel like he feels this way too. But very important to us growing up is having that support system of family and a place.
yeah, today they're at your aunt's, and they have like, you know, 4 or 5 cousins over there, and they're all swimming and they're hanging out, and I mean, we're just really, really lucky.
They're very
Fortunate
fortunate
for
to
that.
have family
Yeah.
close by.
For
So
sure.
speaking of family, you mentioned that this house is Brandy's aunt's house, was Brandy's aunt's house. So how long has this house been in your family?
Oh gosh, I don't know when my aunt.
Your granddad bought this for your aunt.
No.
He bid on it at the auction for your aunt,
He
and that
bid on
was in like
Was it?
01 or
I was
2.
gonna say it was early 2000s
yeah.
that this place went up for
And
auction.
so that's when she, you
Yeah.
know, when
But
she
the-
started living here.
Yeah, that's when she started living here. She, you know, and she owned it, and there's 5.6 acres here. But before that, the funny thing is that some close friends of mine growing up, their mom rented this. 2 guys that I graduated high school with, and so I was here when I was even younger, and we would play, and there's a building out back that was our clubhouse, and so I remember it from then. And then my aunt bought it, and she lived here until she got married, and then they bought a place because there's 4 kids, which this place is, you know, we got 2 kids and we're busting at the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bought it from her, and it is something that is special. You know, it's not something she wanted to sell. She rented it to Josh and said that she didn't want to sell it. She wanted to keep it, and then under special circumstances, she sold it to me, and she said she wanted it to stay in the family. So, and I don't see myself ever wanting to sell it. I mean, we've talked about building on here or possibly remodeling the house, but never really had the desire to just pick up and move.
No, I've
About said
lived
something political there, but I'm gonna.
I've lived here longer than I've ever lived anywhere else at this point.
Isn't it great though that you two have made so many memories right here
Yeah.
on this property, in this home? You've come together as a couple. You have started playing music professionally together. You've created a family here. And you had your own childhood memories here. That's something that's so unique that most people cannot share. People don't stay in the same place very long. Like, you have such strong family values that it's great to be a part of. It's great to see that this is home to you and you have no desire to do it different.
Well, you know, and there was a point in my life where I did. And I think a lot of people that grow up around here feel that way, especially I know friends of mine from Glasgow that when we all went to high school together, you know, the desire was to graduate and to go to college and never come back. And because, you know, it's a small town and everybody knows each other, everybody knows your business, and some would say, you know, some of the ways people think around here is backwards, and, you know, a close family means everybody knows what you're doing all the time. And I actually went to Belmont for my first year of college because I wanted to do music business, and I was going to be famous for signing, you know, singer-songwriters. And I got down there and it all changed, and I took more social work classes than music classes and moved back here. And I don't know, something about, like, I mean, I know for me the experience was that when Josh and I met and he was going to rent this place for my aunt, I actually had an accident out in that field. I actually broke my neck in a Jeep Wrangler with my uncle. And so when that happened, I was 23 and I lived with my parents again for 3 months in a halo. And it just completely changed my perspective on so many things in life. And that foundation was there of the value of family and being close and all of that, but it solidified that I don't want to move. Like I said earlier, I went to Yellowstone and worked for a while and thought, well, I could live in Wyoming or I could live in Nashville. And then when that happened, it was like, no, when that happened, it was my family that took care of me, and it was my family that didn't change as far as how they treated me. And, you know, Josh was...
I was waiting
Josh
for
was
that.
kind of there. No, Josh was there.
Here.
Josh was here when it happened. So, I mean, I think that's another thing.
Like the moment it happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of, like, our
Connection
in our story
to
and
where we are.
why we're, you know, as close as we are. And, you know, we've had, you know, things come up over the years like any couple does where we go back and forth, but I think ultimately that experience changed our
Everything.
relationship. And it was so early on in our relationship that I don't know what to say about that other than I know that experience, him being here, what it meant to me, and the fact that, you know, we live here.
Like you went through some intense healing.
Yes.
On a lot of different
levels.
levels after
Yeah.
all that. And this place was part of that.
Big time.
So what was that like for you, Josh? Because this is home for her. I mean, this has always been in her family. She's got memories here.
Yeah.
You were new to the property, kind of new to the relationship. What went through your mind when your whole world turned upside down right in front of you?
I you know, it took me a while to kind of come to grips with everything, but at the same time, it seemed natural, I think, for us to be here together and have a common bond here, you know, even though I didn't come here as a kid or any of that, but I felt a connection to this place from the beginning, you know, before Brandy's accident. I don't know, I feel like y'all feel kind of like a connection, you know, when you come in someplace like this, it's just like, it's really a magical thing. And, but at the same time, it's evolved, and our kids, I want them to always have a home like this. You know, I want this to be their roots, this porch, and, you know, this house, for better or worse, you know, the good and the bad, and all of it, you know. I appreciate that Brandy and I have that bond together and can share that with our kids, because a lot of people just don't have something like that. You know, they're constantly on the move, or they're chasing a job, or you know, they can't put down deep roots. And I experienced that as a kid. My roots are deep in this area, but I want our kids to have this place.
They learn life here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your life and your values, and it's so incredibly special. Special to be here and be a part of it. We felt it, like you said, as soon as we stepped foot on your property. It was a whole new world. It's your world. It's beautiful.
It is our world. But that, I mean, that's the great thing about it too. Like, once I bought it, like, that's all I wanted to do was share it. Like, we would have friends over, and we have fires, and we have music. We've had so many, like, people camp out in our yard, and you know, whole families stay in our living room that helped us put on a new roof, and that's just kind of like that. It's a special place, and it deserves to be shared with people. I don't want a commune. That's been brought up several times.
We have people inviting themselves over to start a commune.
Yeah, I don't want a commune, but I want to be able to share it, you know. And especially, like, you know, friends that talk about wanting to garden or be more sustainable or homestead, then you invite them over and they help with a project, and they're like, nope, I'm good. I was just kidding. I don't want to homestead. Like,
it's fun to visit.
It's not, you know, it's not the easiest way to live, but it's also not the hardest. Like, it's all in what you make it. And yeah, it sucks not having air conditioning when you're 9 months pregnant because somebody wants to save the planet.
Whatever.
But you got through it.
But we get through it,
you.
yes. And you
Thank
acclimate
Julie.
to things,
You got
and it empowers you to live a certain way that, you know, most people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they can't. It's just that, you know, we've gotten so comfortable that we don't want to live that way anymore. And to find somebody that does want to live that way with you, then that's a special thing that we have.
Yeah.
I feel like, because even, you know, before the accident happened, my aunt was gonna rent this place, and he's the first person I thought of, and I was like, you have to see this place my aunt has. Like, I love it. I know that you'll love it. And that's, I mean, he did. As soon as he came out here, he's like, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Like.
So how do your deep roots and your family values impact the way you write, Josh?
I've written songs that have been inspired by different, you know, experiences with, you know, certain family members, and just kind of how life has played out to this point, you know, and a lot of the songs that I've written, I feel like if you're kind of dividing them up or whatever, I think the best songs, my favorite songs that I've written have come like right here where we're sitting, you know, or right there on that step.
Josh, would you say that there are any specific songs that you have written for Brandy, about Brandy, or about your children?
Yeah, I've definitely, Brandy has inspired
So many songs.
a number of tunes, and you know, they're not songs that I have to sit and work through either. You know, they just kind of they write themselves, and I like it when that happens. And it's you know, it feels like they're more meant to be than if I was sitting there and having to write and scribble out and come back to them and take days or weeks or whatever. You know, the songs that you've inspired have usually come from an emotional place.
Well, that's why I'm laughing. Because the songs that he's written for me usually come after a big fight. For him not, like, expressing his emotions in words. So
Well, it's just a, you know.
so then he plays a song
be
and it's
told.
really sweet, and it's like, see,
Yeah.
you can do it. You've just got to put music to it.
Yeah, and like you know, I haven't written a lot of songs like that.
No, like Cuz, that came
'Cause.
after a fight. Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely one that you inspired me. And If It Gets Broke. And off the top of my head, that's, you know, two that come to mind. But, you know, they're the kids, not necessarily yet. You know, I've started actually working on a song. You know, kind of one came to mind the other day after last weekend.
Oh yeah.
Doing the recording thing with Jason. So they're definitely inspirational figures in my life, but maybe not necessarily, you know, song starters just yet. You know, because like I said, they just kind of come on their own, and I just happen to write them down or record them on my phone or whatever when they happen, and I don't really try to work as a songwriter. It just doesn't work for me like that. They come when they come.
Yeah. And that's kind of like when I write too. It all has to, like, I don't just sit down and start trying to come up with stuff that rhymes or is telling a story, or it just comes and then it all goes out on paper and then it's out of here. And he's gone to songwriter circles before, and it just wasn't really his thing.
I think it's perfect exactly as it is.
So far, it's worked out.
So what's up next for the Jenny Rhodes?
Well, what is up next, honey? So we were like super fortunate to have a live show in Bowling Green last year, and it was at the Capitol Arts Center, and they let us take the audio and we made a live album. So we have this live album that like we have to let people listen to. So we've got like a few CDs in the house if anybody wants to come by and get a CD, you know, like we'd love to share it with them.
We had CDs and we had one show, and then things started getting shut down. So we have those, and that was a step for us because we would always play shows and people would ask if they could have or buy a CD, and we didn't have any. So
Yeah, it took us a long time to get that far.
And no shows. But no, I think we like to play locally, and there's a really cool spot in Cave City that we like to play at called The Dive. So I think we'll be doing more of that. But we also want to record. He has met some.
We just have good, awesome music friends.
Yeah.
And if we could all get together at a studio at some point and, you know, just have a ball doing some music and, you know, put a Jenny Rhodes cover on it, you know, that would be amazing. We'd love to just kind of keep playing.
And that's kind of the thing about the Jenny Rhodes. It's funny because, you know, when we play as the Jenny Rhodes, it's Josh and I, for the most part. But if he has friends in town, then that's the person that's playing bass, or that's the person that's playing mandolin, or that's the, you know, it'll switch depending on which friends are in town.
We could have a porch full of people and it'd be the Jenny,
and it's the Jenny Rhodes. So. Because it's just, he has so many friends that are musicians that are really good at what they do, and it's a lot of fun to play with them. So it would be cool to get all of them together again and do that.
And some of them, like, we have connections across the country.
And he wants to play.
I want to go
on a road trip with the kids. And I'm not brave enough to do that.
I want to go. You know, I want to get out there and just
He wants to buy an old school bus.
I want to do what we do right here. And just do it
He wants to buy an old school bus
do it
and
around
fix
everywhere.
it up. What's that called?
A schoolie.
Let's
a
make a
schoolie
schoolie.
would be great.
And take the kids and just visit all his friends across the country that play music and play shows. which would be fun.
You should do a Route 66 tour.
We got to do something. I mean, we are just like wasting time sitting here.
We have to start
every
with the
day.
Jenny Rhodes, the porch session.
Yes. Yeah. And I would like to write more with Brandy. It's funny. Her name's Brandy too. The woman I was talking about earlier that is a songwriter, and I would like to get with her and actually write my own songs for Josh to perform,
For Josh and Brandy.
Yeah, for the Jenny Rhodes.
for him to play. So I think that I've always thought that would be something cool to do. Since I don't play an instrument, and I love to listen to lyrics, and I love to write. So I've always thought it would be cool to actually write songs.
I would like to see our music open up opportunities for us to travel and see places with our kids and expose them to that at a young age, and so that we'll have these family memories, and that they can also see that kind of there's nothing, there's no impossible, but like maybe when they're older, like our parents took us
These
around,
old hippies
like
that
no,
took us around in
no,
the
just
school
like
bus.
our parents took us around the country, and all they did was sit and play music,
And
like
that
they
paid
did,
for our trip.
like they did every night at home. Like they just did what they do here, and they did it around and everywhere. I think that'd be great. I think it'd be so much fun.
I definitely want them to be able to see more than just here. To know that they have this place to always come back to, but there's a whole big world out there. And that, music is something that you can do to travel.
Yeah.
I think that I love that idea of it. I don't love the idea of a 2 and 5-year-old in a bus across the sleeping in a bus with a 2 and 5-year-old going across the country. But who knows? It could be fun.
It all starts right here.
Like I said,
Great.
he's really good at persuading me to do things.
We'll be here to document every moment.
Okay. Thank you.
On the road with the Jenny Rhodes.
That's right.